Hello, I'm Sean Paul Lockhart.
And I'm Chrissy Nova.
And we're here for Quality News Network at Harvey Milks.
Alright, so today we're going to talk about Oprah's next chapter, Gay in Hollywood, where she had actors Wanda Sykes, Dan Bucatinsky, and Jesse Tyler Ferguson talking about marriage, equality, and basic things in Hollywood that they've been passed up for, like acting jobs and just being discriminated against personally, and the coming out to their parents.
I find this topic quite interesting because as an actor that works in Hollywood, and I have a fairly colorful background as well, you know, I'm kind of having a little bit of an inside eye as to other actors that deal with, you know, the plight of either being out or struggling with whether they should come out. And there's this common belief, you know, amongst a lot of managers and a lot of agents today that, you know, it does still mean the death of your career if you are an out gay actor. So, you know, watching this program, I'm sure it was quite insightful.
It was very insightful.
Yep.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the show Modern Family?
I am.
Yeah. Jesse Tyler Ferguson, he was talking about how some people have given him backlash, saying that he portrayed a stereotypical gay family. Mm-hmm. And he says that that's how he acts in everyday life. He's closely portraying himself. Yeah.
There are a lot of actors who learn to play different versions or different parts of themselves, and you know, they're really just there's something really natural about that. And then there are actors who become entirely different people. But you know, it sounds like this guy does a really great job capturing, you know, just life in itself. And you know, you have to love that. You have to accept that for what it is, and to celebrate that, because you know, whether it's true or not, a stereotype comes from somewhere. So you just have to love it for what it is.
That's so true. And Wanda Sykes also talked about her coming out at the age of 44, which I thought was pretty sad to me, because I came out at a young age and she didn't really get to live her life because she was married to a man for a few years, and she didn't really love him the way, and they weren't intimate in a way that she would be with the women. And I felt like that was kind of sad that she couldn't live her life the way she wanted to live it.
Yeah, and well, I think there's another element there too, and I can't speak from experience, but you know, when you add in, you know, a different element of, you know, from different economic backgrounds or different racial backgrounds or different, you know, religious backgrounds, it definitely affects the way someone comes out. And so you're talking about a woman here who lived an entire life. She married a man, and she really did give it a good go at the traditional life, and found that it wasn't for her. And you know, if you watch her now, if you watch her stand up from back then, which I'm familiar with, and the stuff that she does today, she has blossomed, and she's actually been able to reach, you know, she's been able to reach a demographic of people, not just queer people, but people in general, since she's come out, and she's become a full three-dimensional person, whereas before it was more about the acting, it was more about a craft. But her stand-up is top-notch.
Yeah, she is.
And all of that has come off the cusp of, you know, becoming, accepting who she was as an individual. So
I think her life story also. They also talked about Ellen DeGeneres and how she's like the pioneer of being gay in Hollywood. And I felt, I'm a big Ellen DeGeneres fan, and you know, growing up, I always watched her, and she was definitely the person that I would emulate when I would come up to my parents, like in her TV show, the Ellen DeGeneres Show. She had a therapist who was Oprah, playing a therapist, and that's why she came out saying that she's gay. But even though the show got canceled because of the, you know, what it was centered around, I felt like that was a really good opportunity, and the way she portrayed herself as a gay character was in really good light and not a very stereotypical way.
Well, true, but I think that she took being an actress and being a stand-up comedian, and then turned, when she came out, she made more of a life out of being a personality and being a public personality, and that was which I think there's an interesting juxtaposition there. And even Wanda Sykes has done that in a way, and what it does is it makes you human, and I find that to be a great success for not only our community, but also, you know, a good moniker, a good point to consider when, you know, when you're deciding to come out as a public person. I mean, I think that anytime you've got someone, whether it's talk show or really any facet of entertainment, that comes out, or at least lives their life as being true to themselves, it proves as an important beacon for young people. And the more examples we have to lead from, the better off we are as individuals and the better off we are as a community, because we are people in general. Like, we all value different things and we want to be different kinds of people. We don't need just one or two examples of what it's like to be a viable contributing member of the LGBT community. We need all of them. So I think that having Ellen and Wanda and Sean Hayes or Jesse Tyler Ferguson, all of them stand. I mean, even right down to, dare I say it, the American Idol. Come on now, Guyliner. You know who I mean. Adam Lambert.
Adam Lambert.
Yes, they all serve a purpose. Although I remember a couple years ago when he was really hitting the charts and he was doing quite well. GQ had him pose with a naked woman, and I found that to be a little bit frustrating, because here's an out gay man who's taking artistic choices that take who he is as an identity, who he is as a person, and making a lesser element, by choice through a creative outlet, and I found that to be a little bit frustrating. It's old news now, but I ran around for years being, disgruntled by it, because, every single person that we have that's out in our community that's visible is an important part of how young people grow up and how they decide to live their lives as individuals. So.
Yeah. Speaking of growing up, did you have any gay icons that you looked up to?
There were a few. I think more than anything, it was just queer icons. The people that were just a little off, but no one ever really talked about, homosexuality. But being different was more of an interest to me. I mean, I just gravitated toward Elton John, and even I'm a pony, Richard Simmons. These were weird characters that I just appreciated just by virtue of the fact that they were strange, and you knew that there was something a little off about them, but it didn't matter, and they were just themselves. And because I think life is nothing worse than life than being ordinary.
Exactly.
So we've got a very vibrant night scene, and there's lots of really great performers that do cabaret and do drag, and we're really lucky for that, because a lot of places don't have such visible, colorful people.
Growing up, I would watch RuPaul. I was banned from a lot of TV shows when I grew up, like Will and Grace. I was banned from Will and Grace. That just made me want to see the show more. What was it about? What was the show about? And I watched it, and it was about gay men and living in New York. I feel like that show definitely impacted me in my homosexuality and discovering who I was as a person. Even though my mom banned me from that and MTV, because MTV had a lot of gay-themed shows.
Yeah.
I felt like that was more of who I was than this, straight people on TV and this portrayal of who I should be.
Well, I mean, I remember MTV, they had this show called Undressed, and then every other character, maybe one or two characters would be gay, and it was it would happen at night, much later, and it was the sex was sort of like the central theme. But as a young person seeing this, there's some of the first examples of young people who were living young lives, and also there were gay people involved. So I remember that. I remember Queer as Folk, and all of it really made an impact, and in me at 16, 17, allowing myself to accept that, I was a little bit different, and then eventually celebrate that. So.
That's true. So when did you come out?
I came out to my mother when I was 17. I'd basically been living a summer or a few months as like a double life, and then finally I came. She wouldn't let me do something, and I was like. I went back to my room and I came out and I said, "Mom, I'm going to LA to visit my boyfriend." And my mom goes, "Oh, Shawnee." And she just sat down and we had a conversation. It was not as hard as I thought it would be, but I think that because I had pretty much segregated myself from the rest of my family to live with my mother, it was a lot easier on me. And I didn't have to deal with the ramifications or the nuclear fallout of the rest of my family because of it. So I had a pretty easy coming out. It was coming out as as an adult star and gay actor that was really the real rough one. But
for me, my mom actually approached me in the bathroom last year, and she was like, "Do you want to go to a gay pride parade?" And I'm like, "No."
A gay what?
Gay pride parade. She wanted to take me to a gay pride parade, and she said she always knew and stuff. But I said no because I didn't want to go. But that was a special moment for me. That's how I basically came out. To her. She just approached me.
Your mom forced you out of the closet?
Yeah. She's like, "Do you want to go?" I was like, "No."
You're like, "Mom, I would love to, but not with you."
Yeah, not with you.
Yeah. Mom, I want to go get crazy, but I don't want you to see it. Cool.
Yeah, I think that's the most beautiful thing that someone can have. Because also in Oprah's next chapter, they also talk about gays who are kicked out of the house for being who they are, and I feel like that's unfortunate. I'm very blessed to, have my mom be who she is and be open and accepting.
It's the center does so many things, so many great things for youth that end up on the street because of the situation. And being in Southern California, I find that we deal with it a little bit less, but it's still a part of our society. And the fact that we do lose our homes and we do become considered somewhat of undesirable, and we're fortunate that there are enough people within the community that are willing to stand up and step up to the plate and do something for that. But it still exists and it's still a problem. So.
It's very much a problem. Is there any LGBT centers that someone can go to?
There's one right here in San Diego. It's right here in Hillcrest, and they do, like I said, they do quite a bit for. They have an entire home for underage youth who are on the streets, and their space is limited, but they're constantly fundraising, and anytime you can be out there to lend them a helping hand or to lend them any sort of resources, they're always very receptive and very thankful for it. So definitely look that up.
I never knew that because I've been here 3 years. I never knew they had centers like that.
Well, in any given LGBT community, there, particularly in bigger cities, there's an LGBT center, and they do a lot of things for the community. Of course, testing, but also community events, and they kind of really work to be the epicenter for the things that happen year round, not just when the weather gets nice in June and everyone wants to walk around with their shirt off and wave a flag. It's Pride happens year round, and life happens year round. So they're really there to hold the community up, and they do quite a lot of things for us. So.
Well, I've never been to a Pride before. I need to go to one. I need to pop my Pride cherry.
This is one of the best. This is right here. San Diego is a destination Pride. We've got one of the best in the country, and don't miss it next year. The festival it's beautiful. It's one of the best. I've been to lots throughout the country, and I still think that San Diego Pride's got it.
I definitely have to go out there.
Don't miss it next year.
I won't.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm Sean Paul Lockhart.
And I'm Chrissy Nova.
See you next time.
I'm Chrissy Nova.
And I'm Sean Paul Lockhart, signing off with cell phones and all kinds of noise and everything else in between.